Okay, everybody, so we're live on YouTube now, and we're just going to give people a couple minutes to join in. And I'm just going to keep setting up. Welcome. I hope everybody's doing well. So, how's everybody doing? Feel free to take yourself off mute if you want and say hi to your neighbors. If you have a lot of background noise, though, please stay on mute. That'd be great. Anybody watching anything interesting right now? We finished The Last Kingdom, and now we are on to Vikings. So we have this whole Nordic theme happening in our house right now. We'll just give it another minute or so. We got about 32 people here, which is great. How's the weather in Tennessee? Good?
It's beautiful today.
Awesome. Yeah, it's actually not too bad here right now. How about up in New York?
It's really nice today.
Must be if you're outside.
Yep.
What about Delaware? Who's here from Delaware?
Perfect day in the Finger Lakes today.
Oh, cool.
Absolutely perfect.
Okay, we'll get started in one more minute. Out of curiosity, are there protests happening in every jurisdiction that we're in? Like, I know they're here in DC and Virginia. I know that some are happening. Is Ithaca doing a protest still? I know Syracuse is. And what about Delaware or Tennessee, like in Jackson or in Bartlett, or, you know, have you guys seen those as well? What about Martin?
Jackson is.
Jackson, Memphis. There have been some in Martin.
Wow,
Mm-hmm.
that's great. That's good.
Ithaca, quite a few. Not every day, but most days.
That's pretty cool.
Sandra, I'm curious what your pictures of.
That's the amp downtown Jackson.
Oh, cool.
Okay, like a concert.
Yep, they have those in the summer,
Very colorful.
in the fall. Yep. Hopefully we can do something this year.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, hi everybody. Hey.
It's Sandra.
Hi, Sandra.
La, la, la. Oh, there go Brittany. Don't cook today, Brittany.
All right, so it's 2:36. We'll let other people go as they're able to. If we could put yourself back on mute, that would be great. my apologies. My allergies are really causing me to struggle. So I'm doing my best to, not cough all over you or at you, I guess it would be. All right, let's get rolling. Let me pull up my notes and let's get going. So, as always, starting out our meeting, first of all, just welcome everyone. Thank you for tuning in and joining us here. I hope that wherever you are, you're enjoying nice weather, and I hope that you've got some good plans for the weekend. It's pretty wild just to see places starting to reopen. So, just incredible. So, we were out walking yesterday, and in Alexandria here, they've taken the first block of King Street, and all the restaurants, they basically gave them the street. They closed down the street, and they set up outdoor dining for everybody. And so it's quite the experience just to see everybody back out there. And it's interesting to see who's kind of doing social distancing, who's not, who's wearing masks, who's not. It's really something, but it's the new normal for now, I guess. And this is kind of what we're all going to be experiencing at some level. Oh, cool. Also, just shout out to Quadria. I don't think she's with us today, but it's her birthday. So happy birthday, Quadria. More to come on Quadria. That's awesome. Let's start with our normal kind of reflection time about COVID and its impact on us, both personally and organizationally. I just want to kind of pull up kind of the latest statistics so that you all are aware of them and you can keep people in your thoughts and in your prayers. So currently, for people that we support, we have 8 people we support, all in Virginia, that are positive with COVID. And we have 1 person also in Virginia that we support that's hospitalized. And then my understanding is that person is fairly stable, but they are in the hospital. And then for staff, we have 14 total that are positive currently. That's 1 in DC and 13 in Virginia. Fortunately, we do not have any hospitalizations for staff as well. And also currently DC has transitioned 13 homes to the 12 and 12 shifts, so 12 on, 12 off. And with that transition, which is a step down from sheltering in place, we've been able to strengthen the protocols to reduce exposure to the virus. So that's crucial. You probably, like me, have seen that there's surges starting to happen in various parts of the country that have reopened or did reopen around Memorial Day. I have no doubt we'll see surges as a result of the protests too. I think, it's gonna happen. But in DC, where we're kind of holding down the fort still, we have staff that are still kind of on the front line. They are still doing selfless acts by doing longer shifts, sheltering in place. I mean, this has been an ongoing theme in DC and Virginia, in Tennessee and Delaware, like doing whatever is necessary to keep the people that we support safe. And it's come at the cost of time with their family. It's come at risk of staff members and themselves getting the virus potentially. And just, I just want to again acknowledge and thank everyone who has put themselves out there and has put the people that they support over their own self-interest. You guys are just amazing and incredible ambassadors for the mission of St. John's. So I just thank you for that. And I saw a statistic that Precious provided as well, that currently just in DC and Virginia alone, there's approximately 488 people with intellectual and developmental disabilities that have tested positive, which is remarkable. In Tennessee, it's much lower. 60 people have tested positive out of 2,500 people being tested recently. So that's the state of Tennessee down there. And then in DC, 306 people in homeless services have tested positive for COVID. And while there are over 500 cases of positive COVID-19 amongst homeless shelters across New York, there have been 0 cases in Tompkins County, which is where our shelter is located, which is frankly a miracle. And as you know, in Delaware, we haven't had any cases. In Tennessee. We have had 30 people tested, all came back negative. That was a combination of Harlan Morris, the retirement home, as well as other individuals we support residentially. So that's the current state. And then certainly we've had loss as well, with Ahmed and Mo passing from the virus. And then we lost Diva tragically a couple of weeks ago. And so our thoughts and our prayers continue to be with their families, continue to be with those that are battling the virus now. And I would just like to ask you all to join me in a moment of silence on their behalf. Thank you. All right. So on the program side, today is hashtag Frontline Friday. And we're really excited. Today's Frontline Friday representative is Mayola Elder, who's a direct support specialist in Jackson. And her favorite part of the work is being able to help the clients, seeing them happy and being a voice for them. What drives her to be an essential worker is being able to see the individual thriving despite any challenge. Her favorite scent is cinnamon, and her favorite quote is treat people the way you want to be treated. Thank you so much, Mayola, for being who you are and being such an advocate for those you support. And at this time, I was going to ask Amanda Newell, who heads up is our regional director for Jackson, if she would be willing to share a few words about Mayola. So Amanda, go ahead and please unmute yourself and feel free to share.
Thank you, Alan. Congratulations to Miss May. I don't know if she's on this Zoom call. I don't see her name, but she may be on one of the platforms. So congratulations for being our Frontline Friday chosen person. Miss May has, she's only been working for us for about 6 months now, but in those short months, she has proven to be a leader in the home that she works in. She works in a home that has not always been easy to staff, and but she has stepped up and she helps out with appointments, and she just really has taken over the lead in that home, even though that home does not have an RTL at the moment. She helps out the supervisors with appointments and scheduling and paperwork, and she's very observant with the guys that live in that home. And if she notices something wrong or somebody's ill, she's quick to get on it right away. I mean, she's just really proven to be an invaluable staff in the time that she's been with us. So I definitely think this is a good choice for a Frontline Friday person. And she's just really shown out and is exemplary staff since being with us. So congratulations to May, and thank you for your hard work and dedication to us.
That's great. Thank you so much, Amanda. And yes, congratulations to Miss May, and welcome. In 6 months, you're making quite an impression. That is awesome. So thank you for being such an advocate, and we're happy that you are our ambassador for Frontline Friday on our social posts today. It's awesome. Want to just pause and talk about, the realities of the situation. This is kind of something we talk about every week, but places are reopening. Some faster than others, but still they're reopening. And I just want to keep kind of reinforcing that we are going to listen to and work with local officials and guidance as to how actively we reopen. And that's going to look different in every location, probably, in terms of speed, in terms of the cadence of that, what it looks like, the activities. And in the midst of all of that, the one thing that we absolutely have to keep top priority is the safety of the people that we support. And so it's incredibly important that we communicate with them the risks that still exist. As I mentioned at the outset of our meeting, we are seeing surges starting to develop. I would think that is going to continue. as places reopen. And I think that other places will be very resistant to going back to stay-at-home orders, even if you see spikes happening. And so, and I recently saw that one health official projected that we could see another 100,000 lives lost just because of the reopening and just how deadly the virus is and how it is surging at this point in time. So I say all of that just to encourage you to please do your best individually to practice social distancing when you are out in the community. And certainly when you are with the people who we support, please do your best to practice good social distancing there as well, and make sure that we're wearing masks, making sure that we're keeping them as safe as possible, make sure that we're following the proper protocols as places reopen. There are some places, not all, where visitation is allowed. And we have to make sure though that we have protocols in place, that they're signing off on kind of informed consent of the risks of, that they pose to their loved ones, but still facilitating those exchanges. That's really, really important. So anyway, I just want to keep that in front of you and make sure that we are all following through on the local protocols that are happening in your area. If you have any questions, you're talking to your supervisor. And again, if you find out that you have been exposed, that you're following through on the proper protocols for communicating with your manager, as well as going through the testing protocols for your local area, and then also the return to work protocol. So I hope I sound kind of redundant or that I'm repetitive, but it is all of those protocols and your hard work adhering to them that have helped us get through this without greater numbers of COVID tests, frankly, and more significant hospitalizations. Obviously, any person that gets the virus is at risk of being hospitalized, and certainly of potentially having complications or passing away. It remains serious. And so we have to make sure that our mindset remains focused on the safety of the people that we support to the very best of our ability. And I thank you, because you all are doing that, and it is working. But again, as things reopen, we could be posing greater risk again. So just hang in there, and really until we have a good vaccine, we're going to be in this place. I mean, so this is going to be something that we continue to deal with for the foreseeable future. Also want to wish you all a happy Loving Day. Not sure if you're aware of today's significance, but today is June 12th, and it's basically the anniversary of the Supreme Court overturning 16 state bans back in 1967, which were in place to ban interracial marriage. And so the Supreme Court judged those bans as unconstitutional. It's a really interesting story. So Mildred and Richard Loving, back in 1958, got pregnant and then came to Washington, D.C. They were an interracial couple. She was African-American, he was white, and they lived in Virginia. And they came to Washington, D.C. and got married. And when they went back to Virginia, they were literally like woken in the middle of the night by a police officer who had entered their home and basically was arresting them because he was saying that what they were doing was illegal, because Virginia had a state ban at the time. And so they fought, and they took their case all the way to the Supreme Court. And on this day in 1967, the Supreme Court, they overturned the state bans and judged them to be unconstitutional. So, which is remarkable, because 67 does not feel that long ago, but it reminds us of the fight for equality that has been going on for decades, and certainly in our lifetime, and how we need to continue that. But so happy Loving Day. There's actually a movie and a documentary about their journey as a couple. And so you can check it out, just Google it and you'll find it. I think one of them is actually called The Lovings, but and there's places that actually do celebrations in honor of Loving Day. So also just a reminder that we are in the middle of open enrollment. So it launched on the 10th, which was Wednesday, and it goes until the 17th, which is next Wednesday. And You may be like me, where you have not yet gone online and gone through the process of electing your benefits. And you must do that. So even myself cannot procrastinate, or I will miss getting benefits. So if you want benefits, you absolutely have to get online, go through the process with ADP, and be able to elect your benefits. Remember, this is an active enrollment. You have to make decisions. You have to participate in the process. Probably next week, if we don't start hearing from people and they're not going online and going through the process, then our team will start calling people, because we have to make sure that every employee has the opportunity to elect benefits. I just want to repeat that if you don't go through the process, your benefits that you have now will stop. They're not going to just continue, because it's an active enrollment process. And we've got some good benefits out there. So, and there's been some changes to our plans that have improved them. And so I really encourage you all to take advantage of those benefits that are appropriate for you, and go online and go through the process. Also want to let you know, and I think I'm safe to make this announcement, Rich, this will not impact open enrollment, but we are going to be changing payroll providers or payroll companies. We have ADP currently. We will have ADP for the next couple of months as we go through the enrollment process, and then as we kind of transition, but then we're moving to Paycom. And so we still are working on the plan and when that will happen, but we believe Paycom is the right solution for St. John's. There's been challenges that we've had with ADP, with eTime. I know you all know these very well. The team researched Paycom. Paycom is virtually 100% totally electronic. I mean, it's a really impressive system. And they also offered us some cost savings, which was great. And it provides, I think, better interface for you as a team member, as an employee, to be able to track your time, be able to look up your benefits, to be able to get the information that you need or input information that you need. So we believe that this is going to be a really important transition for us. And we are focusing on the implementation plan going extremely well. In fact, some of HR's current responsibilities with some of the subcommittees are actually going to take a pause, so that they can have the resources and the time that they need to be able to invest it into the implementation. As you can imagine, there's going to be a lot of data that's got to transition over to the new system. We got to make sure that everything goes through correctly. We've got to map out the organizational structure, all that work that has to happen. And we want to make sure that this goes really, really well. And so that's what we're focused on. And you'll be hearing more about that at the appropriate time. Certainly, this will be on the other side of open enrollment, and no exact date, to my knowledge, has been picked. But we will be informing you to let you know as we start to proceed, and what, if any, responsibilities you have as part of that process. Okay. Really excited for this change, and I think it's going to mean good things for us. Now, like any new initiative, I imagine we could have some bumps. And so certainly we're going to try to make those minimal and as few as possible, but also just trying to manage expectations and ask for your patience as we go through that process. Also just want to point out that Rich put something in the chat about enrolling online. He would also encourage you to call the 1-800 number to confirm and clarify. That's the call-in center that you can call. That information is up on ADP now. That number is on ADP. We'll make sure it's on their app, and that you have access to it, so that you're able to ask any questions that you have, because the call-in center is great. There are specialists that are there that understand our benefit package, and they can walk you through step by step every piece of it, so that you can take the time that you need and ask the questions. Some of this is significant, and so you want to make sure that you understand the different options available to you. Also, just want to touch on hazard pay. I realized that there were some challenges, as I mentioned at the last town hall. What we did with hazard pay was an initial stopgap first step, based on the fact that new legislation was emerging that would amend the current use of the PPP funds, and we want to be able to maximize the PPP funds. So the team is still working on the new calculations. First, we're working on fixing kind of whatever happened with some of the glitches that took place in the payment of the hazard pay bonus. And then we're getting the right calculation. So, and we'll be able to come back to you and communicate, this is what it will look like for you in your jurisdiction, and this is for how long you would expect it to be at play in your paychecks, okay? So more information to come with that, but just want to make sure that you're aware we are working on that. We are committed to that. We also have found funds, received funds now for New York and Delaware. And so again, part of the planning process, we appreciate your patience, but if you are a direct service employee anywhere in St. John's, you will be receiving some form of hazard pay, and that will be, that's being determined amounts and calculations right now, and then will be rolled out as soon as possible. I'm hoping for the next pay period. There's a question, Antonio asked, will the new system have mobile access that you can use on your phone? I believe the answer to that is yes. So in fact, it's, from what I understand, much better mobile access than ADP. So so yes, and we'll make sure that we're also going to be investing in training. You know, one of the things we've talked about is just really making sure that we invest the right resources for this to be successful, and to make sure that you know how to use it and can maximize it. That's the key thing, and that supervisors and managers can also maximize it. Marketing and development, I just want to kind of touch on a few things here. First, I don't know if you caught the live interview today with Alex Roberts for Champions in the Crisis. He was a phenomenal interview. Just really enjoyed listening to Alex. This month is LGBTQ month, and SJCS is showing our pride in support of our programs and our team members from the LGBTQ community. And so really grateful to Alex for taking the time to share his perspectives. We talked a lot about allyship. We talked a lot about the challenges that he observes and has experienced personally. And I really, encourage you all to take the time. It's up on Facebook now. The link is there already that Ryan just put in the chat. But be sure to check it out, because as we grow in this movement, in being a louder voice and being more supportive, as being the best allies we can be, the big part of what we talked about was education. And we talked about the need to educate ourselves, whether that's for Black Lives Matter movement, whether that's for LGBTQ awareness and support. We need to take time and build it into our lives that we educate and learn. And so please check out the interview and share it, send it out there. I am really, really proud and humbled to be part of an organization that is, I believe, on the front line of communicating our support and affirmation for our team members that are LGBTQ. And it is really, really cool to be able to also, through that lens, speak to what's happening now with the Black Lives Matter movement and what we're seeing, the impact of that on a daily basis right now. So this is such a unique time in our history, and it's a great opportunity for us to lend our voices and to lend our support and be advocates for change and allies. So, check out the video, and it's really, I think, it's really cool just to use our platform to share voices and perspectives. Last week, we had the benefit of John Jackson's voice and his perspective and wisdom. And I think this is a great follow-up to that by our conversation with Alex. So just thank him for his willingness to do that. And also highlighting that next week, I'm going to have the pleasure of sitting down with Quadria Johnson and talking more. And so just really, really thrilled. And if you are a member of the LGBTQ community, and you want to be part of this process and share your voice, please reach out to me and we'll schedule a time to get you in the pipeline for an interview that we'll do on Facebook through Zoom and Facebook Live. And then just want to remind you, I saw that Ryan sent out, again, the instructions. It's not too late. It's only June 12th. If you're interested in showing your support and affirmation for our LGBTQ team members and those that we support in our programs, You can change your signature line. And so we've got a great rainbow flag that's treated on the signature line, as well as our website and all of our social media posts. So be sure to do that if that's something that you want to demonstrate your support of. Look up Ryan's email or reach out to him. He can walk you through that. And if you're having any issues at all, please reach out, and Ryan would be happy to provide some personal assistance to you. Finally, just want to give you kind of an update on our Giving Tuesday Now campaign. So it kicked off on May 5th, which was hashtag Giving Tuesday Now. We were setting a goal to raise $75,000 for the campaign alone. We had a 2-to-1 match going on. We appropriately pressed pause on the campaign last week in terms of our communication and promotion of it, just in light of all the civil unrest that was taking place and our desire to be part of those voices. We did extend the campaign through today. And so it's still not too late to take advantage of the 2-to-1 match for your friends or your loved ones, or for yourselves if you find yourself wanting to donate to the campaign. We have raised so far, just from individual gifts through the campaign, we have raised $58,000. So over $58,000 has been raised as a result of the campaign, which is incredible. This is the largest campaign we've ever taken on as an organization, to my knowledge. So congratulations to all of you, because it's been your likes, your shares, your stories that is helping people like hear more about St. John's and the work that we do, the need to support our frontline workers with PPE, the need to support the people we support with technology. Even today, I had an interview with the Washington Winter Show. They operate a winter antique show that they then turn around and take the proceeds of the fundraising efforts, and they divvy it up between 3 organizations. And we have historically been one of those organizations. Well, I had an opportunity to meet with the board member today, as well as the head of the show, and just be able to talk about kind of our story. And they were really blown away just by the dedication of our staff that are willing to go the extra mile, shelter in place, work 12-hour shifts, the need to take care of the highly vulnerable individuals that we support. And so we're going to get more involved with them. And I told them about the campaign, because they asked, how can we help? I said, well, today's the last day of this campaign. So I forwarded them the email, and hopefully they're going to forward that out to their membership, and we'll see some additional gifts come in. Yesterday, I spent time calling past donors that have supported St. John's, and just through a handful of calls, I saw $1,500 more come in. And so it's that personal outreach that makes such a difference. And when you tell your story passionately, it moves people. And any dollar amount matters. The way I've always kind of framed it, or come to think about giving, it's a gift that's significant to you. It's a gift that's significant to the donor. So that at any level matters, right? So where some people might say, well, all I can give is $25. If that's a significant gift, that is as important as that $500 gift. So every gift matters, every dollar matters. And I just thank you all for your support of the campaign. Since COVID started and we really ramped up our fundraising efforts, through the combination of asking the Founders Board for an emergency grant, as well as going out for grants in the community that we saw, and then through our campaign, we have collectively raised $309,000. Think about that. That is incredible, that during a really challenging time, we were able to reach out and connect, make a case for the viability, the need for us to be supporting the precious people that we do, and other people bought into that. So we're just getting started. We are about to onboard a new chief development and marketing officer. They will take the place eventually of Thread Strategies, which is a firm that we've been partnering with to do this fundraising during this time. So they will be a member of the leadership team in driving future fundraising efforts and really helping to build our individual donor file and program. And basically that just means you're going to help find people that care already about the people that we support, and we just haven't linked with them. And so it's going to be all about building relationships and linkages with individuals, and then over time corporations and other civic groups that buy into why we do what we do and how we do what we do and who we do it for. And so more now than ever, telling your story about St. John's matters. Sharing our posts matter. I think that we are really generating some amazing content right now. And I think it's incredible, but I keep coming back to, you're the content, like as an ambassador, your story is the content, being able to talk about Miss May as our Frontline Friday direct support specialist. That's incredible. People are wanting to hear about heroes in our organization, in our communities that are often hidden. Our nursing team, again, we've talked about their humility, their service, and how amazing they are. But it's a story that if we don't share, probably would be hidden, and that's unfortunate because it's such a great story to share, and we want to tell it. And so I just encourage you to stay involved with that and keep sharing our social even after our campaign ends today, because there'll be new campaigns coming and new opportunities. More on that in the future. Also, just want to thank, I had a couple individuals reach out to me as I talk about kind of 2 fucks to give here. I had a couple people reach out and say they wanted to get involved. Remember last town hall, we talked about, I talked about the potential for an initiative, kind of like an ally initiative, where we would really focus on learning and expanding our diversity and inclusion efforts across the organization and outside of the organization. And a couple of people reached out and said, hey, they want to be involved with that. So I'm talking to the leadership team right now about next steps and what that looks like. I hope to gather, I'd say 6, maybe 8 individuals that are representative, that are diverse in and of themselves across the organization, representing different types of diversity, and bringing that to the table on a monthly basis with myself and members of the leadership team, to look inside our organization and understand what can we do, how can we improve, and how can we celebrate more the tapestry of our organization. And then externally, how can we lend our voice? How can we get more actively involved? All of those things. So we will be rolling that out. I'm committed to seeing that happen and to having it really impact us in a positive way. And so that is underway. If you are interested, you can reach out to me. By email is probably the best way, at athornton@sjcs.org. And then my hope is that we have our first meeting, if not at the end of June, in July. And then this would be a group that would meet from anywhere from 6 to 12 months. And then they would revolve and cycle off, and new volunteers would come on board, and they would be part of this as well. Because we're a large organization, we want to open it up to hear from a lot of different people. And my hope is that over time, we really see the impact of this. And it's just going to be exciting to see how that plays out. But I really don't want it to be led by the leadership team. I think it needs to be led and steered by folks on the ground and all throughout our organization, and supported by the leadership team. I think we need to listen, and we need to engage, we need to learn, and then we need to figure out how can we support and what actions can we help drive. So really excited for that. And then my last, I guess before I go into my last piece, can we pause here? And I neglected to ask about staff questions. I did see some come up in the chat. If there's any questions about anything I've said so far or something I haven't mentioned, feel free to either take yourself off mute, raise your hand through the participant tab, or put something in the chat box. And I'm also going to quickly check on YouTube just to see if anybody has posted questions there too. So let me just look really quick. Okay, just reading the chat here in YouTube. I don't see any questions. Okay, So let me go back to our Zoom. All right, any questions at all? Just throw it out before the last piece of our meeting. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. I have a question here. Can you please explain some more about hazard payment? Hazard payment, what is hazard payment and who is eligible to get the payment? Okay. Okay, so okay, so the question is just clarity around eligibility. What is hazard pay and what is the eligibility for it? So hazard pay is going to be an additional amount of money that you receive in compensation from St. John's. And it is going to be an acknowledgement of the risk that you are at, either by working with the population that we serve that may have COVID, essentially. So so because you are putting yourself in harm's way, essentially, potentially, where you could get the virus, St. John's will be giving you an additional payment. Now, to be eligible for that, you have to provide direct service. So that's true in all locations. So you've got to be someone that works directly with individuals or comes in contact where there could be that risk. Okay. And then in terms of like the mechanics of it, it'll be it'll come out on payday as well. But what I don't know is what is the amount going to be. We are still doing that calculation. We're looking at using the PPP funds that we received, that loan that we received, to cover that, as well as the additional funds for New York and for Delaware. That is a very convoluted, complex calculation that has to be done, unfortunately, to be able to figure it out. And just when we had it figured out, the rules changed in a positive way, but they changed. And so we still have to kind of redo looking at how much money we have, the time span that we are able to use the funds, and then how much can we pay. So that's kind of where we are at right now with the process. Rich and Sherry and the team are working on that. And my hope is that we will see this enacted in the next paycheck. So I hope I clarified that to the extent that I can. That's where we are. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so if there's no other questions, my last piece of the 2 fucks to give section of our meeting here is tied to LGBTQ awareness and celebrating our diversity and inclusion, as well as the need for equality, especially in light of the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that is happening right now. And so what I want to do, and I'm going to try to do, is share my screen. And I want to play for you a speech that is called the Hope Speech by Harvey Milk. And Harvey Milk was an activist in the 70s in the gay community. And when he moved from New York to San Francisco, he got incredibly active in the gay community there and the movement for equality. And he actually became the first gay man elected to city council that's there, like in San Francisco. And I think that was in '72. And he served there. And he gave this speech immediately following that election on the steps of the city hall, and and his activism continued to grow throughout his time on city council. And unfortunately, he was actually killed by a former colleague, which was also a member of city council. He was literally shot and killed and assassinated, and I believe that was in '77 or '78. This speech is being performed by Sir Ian McKellen. So this is not Harvey Milk. This is Sir Ian McKellen. That's the individual that is performing the speech. And I just hope that you'll enjoy it. It's about 9 minutes. And I found it really, really profound. And so I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to attempt to play this for you. Hold on 1 second. Okay, so, oh, sorry. Do you see my screen yet? Oh, no, you wouldn't because I haven't hit share. Okay, do you see my screen now? Can someone give me a thumbs up? Perfect. Okay, let's see if this works. Thumbs up if you hear it.
About 6 months ago, Anita Bryant, in her speaking to God, said that the drought in California was because of the gay people. On November the 9th, the day after I got elected, it started to rain. On the day I got sworn in, we walked to City Hall and it was kind of nice. And as soon as I said the word, I do, it started to rain again. It's been raining since then. And the people of San Francisco figure the only way to stop it is to do a recall petition. So much for that. Why are we here? Why are gay people here? And what's happening? Well, let's look at 1977. In 1977, gay people had their rights taken away from them in Miami. But you must remember that in the week before Miami and the week after that, the word homosexual or gay appeared in every single newspaper in this nation in articles both pro and con. In every radio station, every TV station, and every household. For the first time in the history of the world, everybody was talking about it, good or bad. Unless you have dialogue, unless you open the walls of dialogue, you can never reach to change people's opinion. Once you have dialogue starting, you know you can break down prejudice. In 1977, we saw a dialogue start. In 1977, we saw a gay person elected in San Francisco. What that is a record of what happened last year. What we must do is make sure that 1978 continues the movement. Now, I know we're pressed for time, so I'm going to cover just one more little point. That is to understand why it is important that gay people run for office and that gay people get elected. I know there are many people in this room who are running for Central Committee who are gay. I encourage you, and there's a major reason why. If my non-gay friends and supporters in this room understand it, they'll probably understand why I've run so often before I finally made it. You see, there is a major difference, and it remains a vital difference between a friend and a gay person, a friend in office and a gay person in office. Gay people have been slandered nationwide. We've been tarred and we've been brushed with the picture of pornography. In Dade County, we were accused of child molestation. It's not enough anymore just to have friends represent us, no matter how good that friend may be. The Black community made up its mind to that a long time ago, that the myths against Blacks can only be dispelled by electing Black leaders, so the Black community could be judged by the leaders and not by the myths or Black criminals. The Spanish community must not be judged by Latin criminals or myths. The Asian community must not be judged by Asian criminals or myths. The Italian community must not be judged by the mafia, myths. And the time has come, and the gay community must not be judged by our criminals and myths. Like every other group, we must be judged by our leaders and by those who are themselves gay, those who are visible or invisible, we remain in limbo. A myth. A person with no parents, no brothers, no sisters, no friends who are straight, no important positions in employment. A tenth of the nation supposedly composed of stereotypes and would-be seducers of children. And no offense meant to the stereotypes. But today, the Black community is not judged by its friends, but by its Black legislators and leaders. And we must give people the chance to judge us by our leaders and legislators. A gay person in office can set a tone, can command respect, not only from the larger community, but from the young people in our own community who need both examples and hope. The first gay people we elect must be strong. They must not be content to sit in the back of the bus. They must not be content to accept pabulum. They must be above wheeling and dealing. They must be, for the good of all of us, independent, unbought. The anger and the frustrations that some of us feel is because we are misunderstood, and friends can't feel the anger and frustration. They can sense it in us, but they can't feel it. Because a friend has never gone through what is known as coming out. I will never forget what it was like coming out and having nobody to look up toward. I remember the lack of hope. And our friends can't fulfill it. I can't forget the looks on faces of people who've lost hope, be they gay, be they seniors, be they blacks looking for an almost impossible job, be they Latins trying to explain their problems and aspirations in a tongue that's foreign to them. I personally will never forget that people are more important than buildings. I use the word I because I'm proud. I stand here tonight in front of my gay sisters, brothers, and friends because I'm proud of you. I think it's time that we have many legislators who are gay and proud of that fact and do not have to remain in the closet. I think that a gay person up front will not walk away from a responsibility and be afraid of being tossed out of office. After Dade County, I walked among the angry and the frustrated night after night, and I looked at their faces. And in San Francisco, 3 days before Gay Pride Day, a person was killed just because he was gay. And that night, I walked among the sad and the frustrated at City Hall in San Francisco, and later that night as they lit candles on Castro streets and stood in silence, reaching out for some symbolic thing that would give them hope. These were strong people. Faces I knew from the shop, the streets, meetings, and people who I never saw before, but I knew. They were strong, but even they needed hope. And the young gay people who are coming out and hear Anita Bryant on television and her story, the only thing they have to look forward to is hope. And you have to give them hope. Hope for a better world, hope for a better tomorrow, hope for a better place to come to if the pressures at home are too great, hope that all will be all right. Without hope, not only gays, but the blacks, the seniors, the handicapped, the us's will give up. And if you help elect to the Central Committee and other offices more gay people, that gives a green light to all who feel disenfranchised, a green light to move forward. It means hope to a nation that has given up, because if a gay person makes it, the doors are open to everyone. So if there is a message I have to give, it is that I've found one overriding thing about my personal election. It's the fact that if a gay person can be elected, it's a green light. And you have to give people hope.
Okay. All right. Can you hear me okay? Cool. You know, I picked that video, you know, and I want to continue to use opportunities like this meeting, use opportunities like LGBTQ month, use what's happening with Black Lives Movement. I want to expose and expand all of our thinking where possible. Certainly, I want to elevate my thinking and understanding. And I was really, his whole point on hope is what kind of resonated, in the sense that we as an organization, we are uniquely positioned to leverage who we are, our voices, and our actions to give other people hope, whether it's people that we support, whether it is our fellow team members, whether it is people that are marginalized in the communities that we serve, either individually or as entire populations and groups. So I am grateful and humbled to be part of an amazing organization like St. John's that gives people hope. And I thank each and every one of you for being part of that hope. And I hope that things like that speech inspire us in some way to be more active, to keep learning and listening and finding ways that we can give hope to others. So thank you for watching that and taking that to heart. And also just want to thank you for your time in joining our meeting today. And I will just pause it there. That's and just field any questions or any comments that people would like to share after watching that. And if you do have any questions or comments, just go ahead and take yourself off mute or raise your hand and I'll see that, or put them in the chat. Okay, then I'll just hang out. We'll adjourn our meeting. Thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, whether you're heading into a shift now or coming off of one, or whether you are going to be off for the weekend. Stay safe, be well. Thank you so much for all that you're doing to make other people's lives better and to give them hope. I'll stick around for a couple minutes if anybody wants to chat. Thank you for joining.